We're gonna get going on this. Awesome. Okay, and let's see, speaker view. We'll do that. Okay, so yeah. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna talk a little about like what grounding is, like the benefits of it, and how we do it. And we'll just like go from there, okay? And let's see, there we go. Okay, so grounding, basically we were just kind of talking about lightning. It's the transfer of electrons from an object to a larger object. And that's just like grounding in general. But when you're talking about earth grounding, and there's a lot of terms out there like grounding, earthing, and some grounding is basically like, if you have an anxiety attack, they'll say like, okay, let's ground you, or you like you need to be grounded. And a lot of that is people thinking like, okay, I need to like come back to reality. Like people who are having an anxiety attack, it's like, I need to come back to reality. I need to like think of calming things, and that's a way that some people use the term grounding. And the grounding I'm going to talk about is just like grounding to the earth. And so that grounding refers to basically your physical contact of your skin to the earth, and you're transferring electrons from your body to the earth. And there's been lots of studies, research done. Hey, Sarah. And that basically has been proven scientifically that like grounding does work, and they've tried to measure that when you step on the surface of the earth, like how fast does your body like connect with the earth, and you like zero ground out, like you're neutral, you know, and it's just so fast they can't even like measure it. Like it's just instant. So the minute you step on the earth, and it's funny because when I talk about grounding, usually I'm stepping on grass, and the other day I was stepping on dirt, and they're like, you're not on grass, you're not grounding. Like, and I'm like, no, it can be done on any earth surface. Like it can be dirt, it can be grass, it can even be concrete. Like concrete is like from man-made products, or not man-made products, it's from earth. Like it's crushed stone, so it's rocks, it's earth. Things like asphalt that have tar in them are not very conductive because those are man-made. So things from nature. So concrete actually is a conductor. And so you can ground through concrete, because concrete usually is touching the earth, especially if it's on a ground level, and it's a good conductor. So it does work for grounding. And so when you're touching your physical skin to the earth, you're grounding, and you're becoming one with the earth energy. And the earth has like an energy, and it's a healing source for our bodies. And so what happens is basically you're neutralizing free radicals. And free radicals in your body can be caused by, I wrote them all down so I wouldn't forget, like inflammation, infection, cell damage, trauma, stress, and other toxins in the environment. So it can be caused by toxins in your body. Most people, I want to say like 90% of people, have way too much inflammation in their body. So inflammation is going to be one of the hugest benefits of grounding, is you're going to just, it's your body, those free radicals, and it's going to come down, and it's going to reduce the inflammation. And so it's when you're connecting to the earth, those electrons come from the earth in your body, and your electrons gone, and it just neutralizes everything. So that's like the easy scientific way to explain it. Like, you know, there's like the detailed way of like the, you know, exactly what it does. But I like to just kind of use just simple terms of the way I understand it. And so it basically is connecting you to the earth. We are energetic people. And I look at it as kind of like recharging your battery. Like if you were a car and you didn't have your alternator to keep recharging your battery, over time, your battery would die because it would not continue to recharge. And so I look at like when I'm grounding with the earth, I'm recharging my battery. And what happened was, is in the, is it this 50s or 60s when they came out with rubber soled shoes? That was like this awesome like invention. And so they started putting rubber on everything, which was a synthetic man-made product that disconnected us from the earth. And the soles of shoes used to be made out of like leather. And so we were connecting to the earth. So all of a sudden we're disconnecting from the earth. And now, like even playgrounds, everything's asphalt everywhere. So now kids are disconnected from the earth, and they go to schools and they do exercise inside of gyms. So they're disconnected from the earth. If they're outside, lots of times there's not even grass. Like I think we're fortunate at some of our schools we have grass, but a lot of schools are just asphalt. And some of them do have concrete, but a lot of them are just asphalt. And then they sit in a classroom all day long, and then they go home and they go inside their home and they're disconnected from the earth, and they do their homework, and then they go to bed. And so, and then adults do the same thing. They leave, they go to work, they sit in an office, they're disconnected from the earth, they wear shoes, they get in cars, and we have lost that connection. We're not farmers, we're not like most people work in offices or work in jobs that they are not physically touching the ground. And even farmers are like usually in tractors and machines now, like we're not connected to the earth. So over time, we've lost that connection. So I think of like, when I'm connected back to the earth, it's just recharging my battery, because your batteries can only go so long, and then they die, and then they're just struggling along and along. And so, so you can get a little bit of connection, or you can get a lot of connection. And if you get a lot of connection, the benefits will just keep getting better and better and better. And there's lots of benefits when you reduce that, because we talked about neutralizing the free radicals, and where the free radicals come from are all the inflammation and cell and stress. Like stress causes so much stress on our body, you know, stress in our life is causing stress in our body, and it's causing the inflammation to increase. But when you can neutralize that and get the electrons and neutralize everything in the body and get rid of the free radicals, and basically what it is like you have like your cell, and like you have like it encompasses it. And if you don't, when your body like has a fight or flight, it encompasses those free radicals and stuff, and it'll destroy it. But what happens is when you don't reconnect, it just continually goes and destroys and destroys and destroys the cells. And then it causes more inflammation and inflammation. And so when you can stop those free radicals from destroying those cells and decrease that inflammation, then you get the health benefits. So the health benefits that come from grounding can be improved sleep is a huge one. Pain management. A lot of people don't know that like pain comes from inflammation. Like usually it's you have inflammation, which is causing pressure on nerves and joints and things like that. Like people are like, oh, my knees, I have arthritis. Like that is caused from inflammation causing pain. So if you can reduce the inflammation, you can reduce a lot of the pain. So pain management, it can reduce stress. It can help your blood flow. So your blood flows better. When they put the blood under a microscope of some, like somebody who hasn't been grounding, the blood is moving really slowly and thick, and you can see the like blood cells, and they're just kind of clumped together, and they're moving really slow. And then if you have somebody that has grounded for 2 hours and you put their blood under a microscope, these cells are all disconnected and moving quickly. So it actually like increases the blood flow, which can oxygenate the body, which can help all of the functions in your body. And grounding can actually help the organs on a cellular level. And so it benefits the whole body. It can help your immune system as well. Let's see. And so the way I look at it is, it's not a cure-all. Like it's not like, okay, if I ground, everything will be nipped and dandy and I'm not gonna have any problems. It's another tool used in your tool belt of health. You know, I always talk about like, we all have these tool belts and we all have tools, and like good sleep is a tool. Eating healthy is a tool. Whether you take supplements, it's a tool. You use oils, it's a tool. Like grounding is another tool in your tool belt. The amount of water you drink, that's a tool. The way you deal with stress, your mindset, like those are all tools for your body. And I had a friend that explained it, and she's like, you know your tool belt? She goes, imagine your cool tool belt and like, it's got like jewels and charms all over the outside and it's blinged up. And she's like, that's your personality of your tool belt. And I'm like, oh, I love that, because everybody has their own unique tool belt and they decide what's best for their tool belt and what's best for their own body. And so to me, grounding is just another tool I put in my tool belt. And so as I talk about it, like it's one of those things that we can just add to the benefits of healing our body and being healthy and incorporating healthy habits and things like that, that it's just one more added benefit to help your body be healthy. Okay, so now let's talk about like how you physically do it. Like basically it's putting bare feet on the earth, and it can be grass and it can be dirt and it can even be concrete. Okay, and I've heard some people say that like the more body that's on the ground, you know, it's a larger surface that you're getting more electrons coming into your body. And then I've heard studies that say the minute your feet touch the ground, because you have so many pores in your feet, like it is if you're laying on the ground, and it's the same benefit. And I've been trying this with my kids, and I've been having them go outside. I put a little table outside and I have them just put their feet in the ground for an hour or two while they're doing their schoolwork from home. And so they're getting grounding benefits. And sometimes we live in areas that's not conducted, like Charlene talked about how she lives in a place where there's a lot of rain. So it's kind of hard to be out in the rain all the time, you know, and me and my husband joked about like, maybe we should try the like grounding, you know, without our clothes on so we can get the maximum benefits, you know, and stuff like that. And we were like, how's that really going to work? Like you sneak outside in the middle of the dark so you can lay outside and get the full benefits. And I decided that I didn't need to go to that extreme, and that putting my feet on, and sometimes I lay on the ground. Like I've gotten to the point that if I take my kids to the park for a sporting event or something, I usually stay and I sit on the ground, and I don't sit on a chair, and I take my shoes off and I put my feet on the ground. And sometimes my little 8-year-old will come lay next to me and he's like, oh, I'm going to ground with you, Mom. And so I'm installing these good habits in my kids that like they know what grounding is and they know how to do it. So there are other ways that you can ground, and basically going outside and touching the earth is free to everybody. Like it is a health benefit and basically an untapped source of healing our body that most people don't know about, that is free. And if you did it for a minimum of 30 minutes every day, you would start seeing those health benefits. And it's not an overnight thing, just like anything. If you go to the gym, you're not overnight going to be, you know, all ripped and everything. It's something that slowly over time, you're probably not going to even notice like, oh, today I don't have this issue. It's going to be that over time, you're going to go, I'm trying to think when the last time I, you know, had some pain in my knee or whatever, that it's just going to be slowly, and you're probably just going to forget about some of the issues you dealt with, because your body's just going to slowly get better and slowly get better. And most of the time we don't notice the improvements in our body. We only notice when we don't sleep good, or we have stress, or we have a headache. Like we only notice the ailments, but we don't notice the improvements. So it's something that over time, it's just those little daily habits that give you success in the end. So the little bit of grounding here or there is going to be beneficial for you over time. And so another way that you can ground is you can actually buy grounding mats. You can get shoes that are grounding shoes. You can get sheets for your bed that are grounding sheets. So I have a couple of mats I wanted to show you. So this is a grounding mat, okay? The color doesn't really mean anything. It's this mat, and it's a conductive, to me it's almost like a foam and then like a rubber. But it's a conductive mat, and it has a cord, okay? And the cord just snaps, has a little snap, and the end of the cord, it's really long. They make them like 14 feet so that you can plug them into the outlets in the wall. I've got a little knot in mine, okay? Okay, it only has one prong. So when you have your outlet and you have 2 prongs on the top that your plug goes into, and then you have your 3rd prong, which is your grounding. Your 3rd prong in anything you plug in is the grounding. So you plug this just into the 3rd prong, and it basically is grounding this mat. And the easy way to kind of explain it is, if you have somebody that is standing on the earth and they have their shoes off, so they're grounded and they're neutral to the earth, and then you have someone standing next to them that has shoes on, so they're not grounded, but the grounded person reaches up and touches the non-grounded person, it will ground that person. It's conductive through that person. So he can get the same benefits because he's touching and it's going through that, okay? So when you're plugging this in, all house electrical are sent through your house to a grounding wire, which is usually a grounding rod that goes into the ground of your home, which is what grounds your home, which is what makes it that when your house is struck by electricity or a current, it doesn't blow up all your electrical appliances in your house because all your wires are grounded. So electricians know everything about grounding. So when you plug this into the wall, it's not putting anything electrical in the mat, it's just grounding the mat so that when you physically touch this mat, you're being grounded to the earth. So it has the same benefit as if you're outside, okay? So I have this mat that it's, I don't know, 3 feet long, okay? So this is one that I put in the bottom of my bed under my sheet. So that like when I'm laying in bed, my feet are actually physically touching this, or my leg if my feet are stretched out. And I put it across so that both me and my husband's feet lay on it, so that while we're sleeping, we're actually getting the benefits of grounding. Because a lot of times we don't have hours to just sit outside. I mean, if you're gonna read a book, if you're gonna drink some morning drink or something, like an evening, walk, like you can be outside, but a lot of times we just don't have hours to spend outside. So this is a way that you can benefit the same benefits while you're sleeping at night. And one of the studies I read about was a lot of people in wheelchairs, and how, because they're not usually going to be standing outside grounding because they're in this wheelchair and they're completely disconnected. And so they've been using grounding mats with people in wheelchairs and putting them in their bed at night, and then they have reduced inflammation and swelling in like a lot of their limbs. They also have, there's circles that you can, it has like a stickiness, and it's kind of like this snap on a little circle thing, and people can stick them to their hands, the bottom of their feet, and that grounds them too. So if they don't have a mat, they can use those. I also have this other mat that it's a little bit smaller, and this one is it costs about the same, but it's a little bit smaller, but it's almost like a thicker, higher quality mat. And I love it because it's this thick rubber, and I just know I can just like wipe it off. But it's a conductive as well, and has the same little plug, same thing. So I use this one under my desk right here, and I put my feet on it, okay? I ordered these for all of my children so that when they're doing schoolwork, they can like put their feet on them, and then they take them with them to bed at night. And then they just put them in their bed at night, and they have been practicing grounding. And my 8-year-old and my 9-year-old are my 2 boys. And my 9-year-old is autistic, and so he has some tendencies to like kind of get really frustrated when things are not his way. And my 8-year-old has been having some frustrations as well. And it's interesting because when he gets kind of frustrated and he's like, I don't want to do school or this or that, like I don't try to fight him. I just go, hey, where's that grounding mat? Hey, and sometimes they are sitting in a chair that's a little high, so their feet aren't going to touch the ground. I usually put this on the chair underneath them, because usually they have like shorts on or bare feet, and then they could sit crisscross, and then they're touching their grounding mat. And it's interesting because within just a minute or two, they calm down, and then they're totally fine. And And so I have seen some of just the instant benefits just in behavior with them. And I'm kind of doing a little experiment for like the whole year. I was like, okay, I'm going to get these grounding mats for them and like try it for the whole school year and have them sleep with them at night and have them during the day as they do their schoolwork and see the kind of benefits that we can have over time. So those are grounding mats. Now those you do pay, and you can go online and you can order them anywhere. You can go to like, there's an earthing store, there's a grounding store. All you have to do is search. Sometimes if you search grounding mats, sometimes it'll pull up electrical stuff, but if you search earthing mats, you know, sometimes it'll pull them up. So earthing mats, grounding mats, people use the words interchangeably. Hold on, I just pulled out my cord for my headphones. People interchange those words. Some people say that earthing is being physically touching the ground, where grounding is just being connected to the ground. So they would consider this grounding, but bare feet outside would be earthing. I've heard people just interchange them, you know, grounding, earthing. They made the earthing documentary a couple years ago, and so earthing now is more a common word, where grounding was what I learned before. And it's interesting because I don't know where I learned it the first time, but I've known about it for years. And I'm the kind of person that, like, I wear flip-flops year round. I love bare feet. I love putting my feet in the sand on a beach. I love just walking barefoot in the grass. And sometimes I go for runs in the morning. And then when I'm about a half a mile from home, I actually take off my shoes and then I walk in everybody's park strip all the way home because they have like grass. And so I'm like, oh, I'm getting a little bit of grounding. And sometimes if I do have time after a long run, I will like lay in the grass for a while. You do have to be a little careful because sometimes there are bugs in the grass and then you get some bug bites. so sometimes, you know, you have to be a little aware of like where you're at and things like that. Sometimes I'll make the kids, if they like don't want to sit on the grass, they can like sit on the edge of the concrete on my porch, and then I still make them put their feet in the grass, you know, so things like that too, that if they're like, if the sprinklers have been on in the morning and the grass is wet, that I will be like, oh, we'll sit on the dry part, or they'll put their little beanbag on the concrete, and then I have them put their feet on the ground on the grass so that they're getting the benefits of that. So any grounding is going to be beneficial, but if you're really trying to like, okay, I really want the full benefits, they say minimum 30 minutes is a good amount of time to be grounding. Obviously, if you have something like a grounding mat that you can, while you work, while you're inside, while you sleep, while you read a book, like I've gotten to the point that I have a couple of them now and I just kind of rotate them throughout the house. If anybody wants me to order them one, I could probably get them one for about $50. That would include shipping, and I could ship it to you wherever you're at. I'm not here to sell, I'm not here to promote or anything, but you can go online and look for them yourself. But if you wanted to, I could make a bulk order and order a bunch. I'd probably order this one that's a little bit nicer, it's a little bit smaller. I can get the orange one too, so I can get the bigger size or the smaller. You can actually get, they call them grounding mats for your bed, and they come in 2 sizes. And basically it's a twin and a full, because the full can go on a full, a queen, or a king, because usually your body is not on all of the outside edge part. And so you'll see some and you'll be like, wait, but I have a queen bed and I can't find a queen size. And it's kind of like this, that you can get it and you can put it under your sheet. Now, if you put it under your sheet, you just want to make sure that your sheets are like 100% cotton, so that the electrons and the can go through that natural fiber. It does lose, like if you have one of those meters and like 0 is grounded, sometimes it goes to a 0.1, where normally non-grounding is like a 7 to a 9. So it's a tiny, tiny bit that you're just putting a little bit of layer between it, but the benefit is good. Like I got, and then there's grounding sheets. And what it is it's cotton material, but it actually has little lines. It almost looks like little stripes or little check, like squares on your material, that is like a thin, conductive, like piece of metal. Like I always think of like your Norwex rags and stuff like that have the silver in it. Like it's a conductive piece of thread in there. So it's not, it still can be washed like material. And like these ones actually all came, they called them a pillowcase for it. That it actually had a piece of material that you could slide over it. So if you're like, I don't want to put this in my bed or whatever, or like I want material over it. If you put the material over it, then you could like lay this on your pillow and you could actually sleep on it and it wouldn't be so rubbery. And so you can actually put the material on it. I thought my husband would be like, I don't want that in my bed. And it took about a night or two, and it kind of, some people say they don't notice a difference at all. And some people feel like they can feel a little energized. And it's kind of like when you go out and you just sit in nature, your feet are in the ground, whether you're on a beach or on the grass or whatever, and you just have that calming effect, you know, and people are like, it just feels so good. Like that's because your body is connecting and those electrons are going through your body. And so some people feel like the grounding mat at first kind of like energized them. And it took about 2 days, and then I slept really deep sleep. And I don't know if it was in my mind going, oh, it's a grounding mat. Am I grounding while I'm sleeping? And I kind of thought about it, or if I kind of felt that energized as well. So you can kind of decide for yourself. But if you do try it for a night or two and you're like, I don't know, like give it a little time, get used to it. Okay. There's been lots of studies done, even in like schools where you have disciplined kids and they're like runners and they run from school and stuff like that, that like they find these kids out in the outside like lawn. They're sitting in the lawn and that's like the only place they feel calm. And so there's schools that are actually incorporating like grounding classrooms and putting grounding mats and grounding desks and stuff in their classrooms. And it's a grounding room and they have less behavior problems and stuff. So there's lots of studies that have proved that it can calm you. It can have lots of healing benefits. And so, oh, the other thing is shoes. So we talked about grounding mats, we talked about sheets, we talked about barefoot. So your shoe, you can get shoes that have natural soles, like your leather soles. Usually they're very, very thin, okay? And those can be considered earthing shoes or grounding shoes. Another thing is if you have like a flip-flop that like goes between your toe, okay? There's these copper, they're almost like a snap, but they have a little bit of a stem on them. And you can actually, they call them our earthing kit for shoes. And you can put them in your shoe and it pokes through right where that is, so that when your toe goes in the flip-flop, the copper is touching in between your toes. And then it actually pokes through the bottom of your shoe and is almost like a flat, looks like a flat dime, you know, that it's like the head of that button on the bottom of your shoe. So when you're walking on the earth, that copper is being a conductive and it's touching your body. So it's the same thing as if you're touching the guy that's being grounded, like you're touching that copper and it's being grounded. So as you walk, you're grounding. They also have them that like the flat part of the shoe where your foot is on it, you can pop them through on the sole. And usually they say you have to have pretty thin soles to be able to like pop them through. So there's a way that you can get grounding kits to ground if you have like some favorite flip-flops. Like I think of things like almost like a Birkenstock type of shoe, but with a thinner heel, that it's just like one of those natural kinds of shoes that you would walk around with, that you could get the earthing benefit from that as well. They even have these little strips. I do not know how benefit these are, that are like these temporary strips. And like, I don't even have a shoe because I'm wearing bare feet. So you have your foot inside your shoe and your heel, that it's like a strip that you tape to the outside of your shoe and it goes inside your shoe and it touches your ankle and then it comes outside your shoe and then it goes and then it like sticks underneath and then it touches the ground. So it's like really, it's like this piece of wire that is like taped onto your shoe. So it's touching the ground and it's touching your heel. You would have to like either have a low cut sock or make sure your sock is like a neutral, like organic material, and then you would get a better benefit. Okay. So there are things like that. There's a lot of those that you can buy and they call them like temporary one-time use kind of things, and they're conductive and things like that. So you can get that. There was another type I was trying to think of. Hey, bud. And that you can to that conductive. You can get the copper ones. You can buy the earthing shoe. So those are all ways that you can get earthing benefits from your shoes as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can get the earthing free. And there's a lot of ways that you can use other products to help get the earthing benefit when the free method is not going to be best for you or not available for you at all times. I'm somebody that I love being outside, but if I can sleep and get benefits while I'm sleeping, then I'm going to add both of them to it. And so, yeah, so we've tried that.
Or
with
winter
our kids
in Idaho.
Oh yeah, winter Idaho, winter in Utah, like to be able to like have earthing year round. Yeah, the mats are awesome. That then you can have it inside. So cool. Okay, so that was basically what I had written down. Let's see. Walking barefoot in the park. Like if you have children that have anxiety attacks and things like that, take them outside, let them sit on the grass, things like that, that calms them down if they're throwing a fit. Like I'm probably one of the only moms in the neighborhood that I'm like, go play outside and make sure you don't have shoes on, you know, because so many moms are like, don't forget your shoes, you know, and it's like, yeah, maybe they'll get a germ here or there, but I'm always like, it is better benefit. So I'm always like, go outside and play, no shoes, no flip-flops, you know, and I don't care if they're even outside running out front because they're on the concrete out front and then on the grass outside. So I'm one of those people that is just like, take off the shoes. And so, some of my kids like will show up and we'll go to a store and they're like, oh, I didn't bring any shoes. I'm like, well, you do have to have shoes when you go to a public place. But and so grounding, just to kind of wrap it up, it brings you back to the present. It neutralizes those electrons. It kills the free radicals. It decreases the inflammation. You're going to get better sleep. You're going to reduce stress. You're going to get better circulation. It actually, they talked about walking barefoot can decrease white blood cell count and increase red blood cell count, indicating a positive immune response. So you're going to build up your immune response and your immune system and just be overall healthy. And that, yeah. So do you guys have any questions? You might have to unmute yourself if you have a question. No? Okay. Let me check. Cool.
Okay, so I have the lava rock bracelet. That is that grounding? Because it's like earth material.
So that would be, to me, the grounding, coming back to nature, that, yeah, you're connecting to nature. And I wanted to get my husband to get one of those meters so we can actually test things. I think that's connecting to nature and grounding in the way that we were talking about in the very beginning, that you're like coming back to reality. You're grounding with earth, you're grounding with rocks, you're connecting to nature. But it's not going to probably give you as much of the free radical stuff as if you're actually on the earth, because the earth is a huge surface and those are just a little bit of earth on you. But you are getting some benefits because they're nature on you. Yeah. Cool. What was the other thing? Oh, yeah, like we went on a vacation, everybody came home with big rocks. Like you can feel the energy in these rocks and they're like way cool and stuff like that. And so you can get energy from the rocks, from the earth and the earth's energy. I don't know how much of the same benefits. I would think you'd get more when you're on the larger earth's surface, but you do get some grounding benefits. And to me, the calming benefits and things like that. Cool. Well, if nobody has any more questions, I want to thank everybody for coming. It was fun. I'm excited. So I do want to do some more classes like this. I want to do, I'd love to do one on water and water memory and the positive of water and that I think would be really fun. And then I'm getting together with a group of ladies and we're going to do some series on moving your feet forward and how to keep moving in life. And we're going to have topics every month that are like marriage, faith versus fear, helping teenagers, helping young single adults transition in life. And those are all just topics that we want to talk about as well. So if any of you want to get on that list of all the other topics, that they're all just going to be free, just free thing information, because I just love to just educate people on all this awesome stuff. And so you can just message me if you want to be on my email list, that anytime we do one of these, I can let you know. If you have a topic you want me to talk about, let me know, because like I just love earthing and grounding, and it's one of those things that like I've known about for years. And my husband is the one that was like, I saw this cool thing on earthing and grounding, and I'm like, yeah, you know. And so then I'm like, oh, I should like talk about this and teach it to people and stuff like that, because it's so beneficial and it's so good. So it kind of like brought it back up again. And so I love to just all of these topics, like bring it back up again and talk about it. So let me know if you guys have any topics. Just shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook or anything of like, hey, different topics you want to talk about, or if you want to like be on here for other topics, and just like be on the email, and I can like send you messages every time we do it. So cool.